Hello and welcome back to Love Essentials with Tara
and Hannah. And last time we were talking about nurturing and how to be a nurturer to your spouse. But today. We are getting ready to dive on into intimacy.
Intimacy. And I know you guys are waiting on this. I actually love talking about intimacy because, you know, people make it so dry sometimes and so secretive and so passe and I don't want to talk about sex. But that is so huge in marriage. Yeah. Just intimacy, and it's not just about sexual intercourse. There's the affection of it, and we need to really dive into this today because I think couples sometimes hold back. Sometimes we hold back, or y'all hold back, from fully expressing ourselves to our spouse. Yeah. So that nurturing relationship we talked about, where you're just opening up, getting your spouse so comfortable with letting you know everything going on in their life. They feel like they can just lay on you, unfold with you. Yeah. That leads to some major intimacy.
Yeah, I understand. And I think that this episode really for me is going to take a lot of shedding and peeling because I already know that there's certain things that I hold back, and I've had conversations with my friends before, and I told them it has a lot to do with my childhood and how I was brought up. Okay. And I think a lot of people can relate to that because in my household, my mom, she had her first child at a young age. So all I heard all my life was no marriage, no sex before marriage, and, you know, keep your legs closed. Like, it was always that, but that was it. It was never any talk about the goodness of it in marriage. Yeah. You know, it was just very taboo. It wasn't until like the night before my wedding, that's when everybody wanted to start talking to me about like, oh, this is how you should. Okay.
So that was your mom, save. And then mine was like, let me tell you what you need to do with these husbands. And I'm like, I don't want to know that from you. Stop talking about that. I ain't even thought about having a husband. Now, let me tell you what you're supposed to do. Mm-hmm. Like, my mother was probably overly instructional. Like, you need to meet him at the door with lingerie. You need to make sure you have candles. You need to have some oils. You're supposed to always smell like perfume. Tar. These are the things you need to do. So somewhere today, in between
we're gonna find a balance.
And I'm not gonna say that my mama was wrong. I just didn't want to discuss it with her. I'm like, Mama, I got this. It's gonna be natural. And my husband probably gonna say, you should have been listening to your mama more because I ain't seen none of them oils. But the thing is, as Christian wives, especially just our Christian self, it's something about when folks get saved and they're just like, my sex needs to be saved. If there's a such thing as saved sex. Right. And you know, I know those worldly people get real live with their sex, but my sex needs to be Christian and in order, and we need to, you know, because let me tell you what the people told us, the premarital counselors. They said when you are intimate with your spouse and you're having intercourse, all of the angels in heaven are there applauding you all on because God loves sex. I'm like, that is not helping my psyche. I don't want to think about no angels. Sitting around my bedpost clapping. And then I get it though. God created sex in marriage though. He really did. And all the sensations that we feel, all the little parts of our body that create a sensation, he let that be the case. Yeah. He said, I do want you to tingle when your spouse touches your wrist.
There's actually a whole book about it in the Bible, but we kind of skip over that. No, we need to go back and dive in.
I'm telling you, he made Adam and Eve naked.
Yes.
He said they don't need any clothes.
Naked and unashamed.
Naked and unashamed. He said, I want them to see each other's body parts all day long. I want them to walk the earth naked with no shame. I want them to see each other's figures. Yes. I want them to look at each other and want each other, because if they want each other, they're going to be fruitful and multiply. God actually wants us to want our spouse, to look at them and be like, yes, hey, you know. And you have some spouses that they are not even comfortable with their spouse complimenting them like that. Saying, hey, you sexy. Oh, I am.
Thank you.
Thanks.
I'm so guilty of that. I can't even lie.
Hannah.
I know.
I'm sorry. No. You're supposed to say, I show, and so are you. And so are you. Like, that's foreplay. Right. That's part of it. And it's unashamed. God actually wants us to want our spouse. He
Yeah.
knows how powerful that intimacy is, which is why he tells us not to give it to anybody before marriage.
Yeah.
He said, because when you bond with people like that, oh, it's going to be stuck on you.
You're right.
Like that's going to affect your decision making in life.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to affect all the moves you make, because once you bond with a person like that, when you become attracted to a person like that, it's going to affect your thinking.
It is.
And so when you do that before marriage, it's a problem. But when you get married, you got to let go. Like, we try so hard not to have sex before marriage that I think we forget that we're supposed to afterwards. I mean,
Right, like, it's okay now. You're
It's okay.
married, it's okay. Like, bed is undefiled. Whatever you want to do in that bed is your business.
Exactly. Like you gotta call your mom and say, can I have sex now? Do I need to call my pastor? Is it a green light? God says the green light is once you make the covenant, and he says, now go. Now, the reason why to me this is so important, because once you get married, this is the only place now you can get out those urges, because everybody has them.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody has them. The hormones God built within us is to make sure you have the urges, to make sure he's like, okay, I can't just lead them to want to get together all the time. I'm going to give them hormones. The woman has them, the man has them. So he said, I'm going to make it where they want to get together.
Right.
They want to. And so when you know your spouse has these urges, you have these urges, but then we're playing games. We're playing games. Where are they supposed to put those urges?
Right.
Where are they supposed, if they feel like being affectionate to someone, but you're unaffectionate, and you're saying, don't touch me, and ooh, why you always on me, and I like my space. That is so cruel.
Yeah.
It's cruel, because you said you wanted to marry me, which means that we are now each other's playground, and now I got a sure thing.
Yeah.
I'm not out here trying to find somebody to be affectionate because I got a spouse.
Right.
And now your spouse is like, we
Play
don't need
now, shut down.
Yeah, we don't need to do that every day. Why
Right.
you always touching on me? Like, why we? That is cruel
and unfair to your spouse. I mean, it's like you were saying to me earlier, that your spouse is the person that you can touch and to play with. Like, you can touch every part of them,
Every part.
and there's nothing wrong with it. You can't do that with other people.
No,
you can't
you
just go around.
shouldn't.
No, you right. But the fact that you can't do that with other people, and you shouldn't be doing that with other people, but you don't allow your spouse to do that to you, but let your spouse go out and do that, and you have a
Now
problem.
Now you're mad. Why? I don't understand it. Well, your spouse did not feel they can fully express themselves
Right.
with you, because sexual intercourse is the the top way you can get close to somebody. Like, it's the top level of, yes, we can get there mentally, but I can mentally love my friends. I can emotionally love my family, but that physical, that's huge.
Yeah.
That's huge. And so when you're married, it's like, I can express how I love this person in all ways. I can do it in verbally. I can say things, but I can also say, and now I want to show you physically. So when people play with that, and I'm especially talking to my Christians, you are not supposed to. God's word said not to.
Right, that's true.
He said the only time you're supposed to abstain from sex is if you're fasting, and it says both of you have to agree.
You have to agree
So you can't be telling your spouse, I'm fasting again,
Right.
again,
But
and again.
like the 10th time this month. Like,
It said it will lead them into sin.
Yeah.
The Bible says they will be tempted. So you can't be surprised when you're not showing intimacy. You all are going months without really talking, checking in, making sure that that part of them is fulfilled.
Yeah.
And then you wonder why all of a sudden they're texting somebody or talking to somebody else. You let that open. And
Right.
so one of the major things I think we need to talk about is affection before intimacy, because this is what all the sisters say is the problem. They're like, he wants to have sex and I need affection. Because it's two different things, guys. It's two different things. Women want the hugs. Most of us want the hugs, want the conversation, the sweetness. All of that leads to the intercourse.
Yeah.
Where our fellas not necessarily need all of that to get into the mood. And I think that's the breakdown with couples.
and I think you need to understand, like the Bible says, to know your spouse. You know what I'm saying? You have to understand who your spouse is, what they like, because there are, I mean, for most of the part, it is the woman who is more of the affectionate one, and the man doesn't need all of that. But in some of our life group meetings that we've had, some of the men in the group have said that they like the affection part of it, and their wife is the one who's not so affectionate. So it's understanding that it can go both ways. But once you know that, then that's what you have to work on. Like, I remember there was one wife who was saying that, you know, I want him to kind of lead up to it. So throughout the day, send me text messages or, warm me up. Don't just come and be like, hey, you know, because I'm not. No.
There are some of those days, those days, but it's not a lot. But there are some days, but the rubbing the back, like my husband loves his back rub, and he will let my arm go tired. I'm like, is that enough? Are you good, boo? But I know that's important to him. Like just on a random regular day, he's like, can you rub my back? I had to understand that is my husband really loving me, touching him. He said, I just love when you touch me. That is his biggest part of affection. He's like, baby, when you rub my back, babe, that just does something. And I'm like, awesome. I got some stuff I want you to rub too for a long time, like my feet. And I know you're not a feet person, but I'm like, babe, rub these feet. I know you don't like rubbing the feet, but the feet, oh my gosh, it relaxes me. It's wonderful. Rub my hair. Like, I love to have my hair played with. I'm like, play in my scalp, you know. And I know everybody don't like their hair being played with, but you, like you said, have to know your spouse. What turns you on? Not what turns me on and I'm going to do that for you, but what makes you feel loved by me? What makes you feel affectionate towards me to the point where it really makes you desire me? Like, we have to desire our spouse. And even when it comes to understanding that we get out of touch with making our spouse desire us. Certain things that we used to do, now we're showing up raggedy. We're showing
and that I think sometimes could be a hard conversation for couples. Because it's like, how do I tell my spouse that what they're not doing anymore has now led to the loss in attraction? You know, without me hurting their feelings, because I don't want to do that, but I don't know how to tell you, and so then I go on without telling you about it, but it bothers me,
and you're not as interested, and you're not just and they're like, what's wrong with you? You don't love me? You don't want me no more? I do. Do you want you? No, I'm just playing. It's like, let's agree, sweetheart, of what is attractive. Period. Okay? So if you no longer feel the need to work out and you like, my spouse love me, I'm just going to let it go. That's a problem, because you should care that I desire you. You should care. I shouldn't have to work up my desire. I shouldn't have to be like, well, here we go. You know, it shouldn't be the case. But you have spouses that are very selfish, and they're like, well, they're going to love me unconditionally, and they don't love me the way I've changed over the years. Then, oh, well. And I can understand if you're sick, if there are some health problems, there's some things that you cannot avoid.
That's the difference.
But when you just eat ding-dongs every night and half a pound cake, and you just and you don't exercise, you don't even make time for it, and you're like, oh, but you don't want me.
And that's the thin line between it, because I feel like some couples will say, well, you know, it's for better or worse, and you know, when you get older, you knew I was gonna get older, stuff gonna start sagging and that, but that's not what we're talking about.
That's normal wear and tear.
Exactly. But there's a maintenance, just like with your lawn. You don't let your lawn just go haywire and the weeds grow and everything. No, you either have a lawn man or you go out there and you tend to your garden yourself. You have to do the same thing with your marriage. There is some maintenance that you have to do with yourself, and like you said, unless there is a health issue or something there that is prohibiting you from it, and I'm not saying that you have to be skinny and all this other stuff, but however you were when you met each other,
get close to it. You might not still be a size 6, but you shouldn't be a 16, like, it's a long stretch. I know somebody gonna get mad at me. That's a stretch, and you gotta snap some of that back. Maybe you were 10, because when I got married, I was a 6. I'm not a 6, but I'm not a 16, and I recognize I want him to desire me. I want when I unveil my clothing for him to still be like, yes. I don't want the side like, Well, come on.
Right.
You know,
and it was the opposite for us. I mean, honestly, when Anthony met me, I was a little bit smaller, not as small as I am now. But when we got together, because we were eating out a lot, I actually put on about 30 pounds with him. You know, so he got to meet me at a bigger size. And then before the wedding, I lost the weight. And then after having kids, it fluctuates. But I think for me, it was being happy with myself. He never made me feel like I had to lose weight or I had to look a certain way. But he supported me in wanting to be happy and healthy with myself. And I think that, you know, that's one of the things that I definitely want people out there to understand. It's not about your weight, because you can be skinny and unhealthy. And you
or
can
unattractive and undesirable because you're not fixing yourself up.
Exactly. You know, so it's just understanding that when you care about yourself and care about what your spouse thinks of you, because your spouse's opinion of you should matter.
It should matter.
And that's the point. The point is when you get to a place of selfishness where you're just like, oh, well, they just got to accept me however I am. That's not right.
It's not right.
Because you wouldn't want them to say the same thing. If your spouse says to you, well, you just got to accept this, there is no compromise, we have a problem.
A major problem.
And that's where intimacy can die. Because now we can no longer be vulnerable with each other, be honest with where we are, because you're putting up a wall. You're saying, I will not do this. This is my condition.
And won't bend.
And won't
bend, just stubborn. This is just where I am. And like you said, it is not about necessarily weight, because some people like their spouse to put on a little weight.
Right.
They like, you know, a little thickness, and that's fine. But it is about, you know, taking care of your health, because if you are not healthy, you actually that affects your desire for sex. It affects your sex drive when you're not healthy, when you're not eating the right things, when you're not taking your vitamins. Men and women, especially when they get to a certain age, there are some hormonal imbalances. Men lose their sex drive as they get older. When they start hitting their late 30s, early 40s, and the woman is thinking, he used to be at me, and he's not anymore. And the men not owning that and saying, there's something going on with my sex drive, let me go to the doctor.
Because that's shame.
Yeah, because I don't want to admit to her that it's taking a longer time for me to get there. And what it truly is a drop in their testosterone. And you need to start taking testosterone boosts. You need to start taking your vitamins, men. You need to start working out and then get back in the game.
Yeah.
Don't say, well, you know, it's just, you thought it was going to work forever. It don't work no more. I mean, girl, go find a hobby. No, she's still, because women.
You're supposed to be her hobby. Come on.
And women's sex drive goes up. Late 30s, early 40s, mid 40s. You better ask somebody. So that's messed up, because you have the men's going down, the woman's going up, and now we have contention. Because now the women are like, you're not catching up, you're not keeping up, and I desire this, sir. Even if you just rub my feet and massage me, I need the affection. I need it, because our hormone levels change, and just we need it. That we may not have even needed the affection in our 20s. Like we need it 30s and 40s. It becomes different. The intimacy is now important. It's just important to have somebody loving you where you can be vulnerable, and then you can have true love making. You know, and that's a conversation between a couple. Hey, can we reassess?
And you got to be able to have those conversations. And I think it actually goes back to how we were talking about nurturing, because it starts with that, which is the reason why we had to talk about that first before we can move on into intimacy. Because you have to be able to nurture one another. That's where that starts. That's where you create that safe place. That area where the two of us can start to shed and unveil and be naked and unashamed with each other, because I'm safe with you. You're nurturing me, and I'm nurturing you, so you feel safe with me. And we can have these conversations so that as we grow old together and our bodies change, we can still talk about, hey babe, this is some of the things that has changed with me. Like, you know, before I may have liked when you used to nibble behind my ear. I don't like that too much anymore. Because you
doesn't do it for me.
Exactly. You have some couples, they won't say anything, and it's just nibbling going on, and it's just like, it's not doing anything.
And they're
for
mad.
Me. And you're mad.
Because it's like, why you still got the same tricks 20 years later? Well, did you tell them that now it's my elbow, boo?
Like,
now
touch my elbow.
Touch my elbow. You never touched it, and that elbow just really works it for me.
But
like you said, you have to have an open conversation where it's not me telling you that I no longer desire you. It's not me telling you that I don't want to be with you. What I'm telling you is I have changed.
Yes.
My body has changed. It desires different things. Can we talk about it? Can I give you at least 2 or 3 good things that now work for me?
And if you're honest with yourself, you know that things have changed for you too.
Yes.
So don't make me feel like I'm out here on a life raft by myself and I'm the only one who's changing. Admit that there's been some things that changed for you as well. Tell me what you don't like that I used to do, or what, you know, or tell me something that you would like for me to do differently.
Tell me your energy levels are down so we can discuss that. And I'm not just thinking you don't want to be with me. You're just like, baby, I'm tired. I'm not rocking with you like I used to. I'm sorry. Can we at least agree on maybe 2 to 3 days instead of the 4 or 5 I used to go? Like, can we talk about that? And then on the days that I'm not ready and able to do that, I promise I'll massage your feet, or I'll give you a head massage. I'll massage your back. I can't go all the way with you, but I can at least give you affection on those days. Like, there needs to be a compromise.
Can you be okay with that? For us not to go, like you said,
all the way,
but let's meet middle ground where you still getting that attention that you need, you know? Because especially for women, a lot of times they're the ones who's dealing with the children.
Yes.
And that can definitely bring a sex drive down when you got the kids all in your face all day, you know, especially for our work from home parents, you know, dealing with the children. When you've had a chance to go to your job and get some time away, now you coming back and you want to be rubbing up all on me, and it's just like, can I get a moment to decompress? But we got to talk about that.
And every touch shouldn't lead to intercourse.
Right.
And I think some of my ladies, they get upset because they're like, if I ask them for a massage, I have to return intercourse every time. And it's like, so they'll be like, I don't need a massage. I'm good. Because it's going to involve a lot of work.
But how do we go about that? Because like, no, that's a real thing. Like, how does a woman go to her husband? Or I won't just say that it's the women that feel that way. Yeah. But how does a spouse go to their spouse and say, there's sometimes I just really need you to massage my back without it leading into anything? It's
like, baby, I am so tired and I would really love a massage from you. But I'm tired.
Right.
Hint. I'm tired. Oh, if you could just rub my back till I go to sleep. Can you just, I need to rest, but I want your touch before I rest. Like, your touch puts me in such a
not
relaxing,
your special touch, just
your touch just put me in such a relaxing state. Can we just do that tonight? Can you just rub my back till I fall asleep?
Yeah.
And tomorrow, when I'm rested, I'm gonna see about you. I'll do it for you. But that needs to be a communicated thing.
Yeah.
It's like, I still want to touch you, but I don't have the energy to go there. But ladies, you can't be having him touch you all this time, all these days, and it doesn't lead to anything because who talking? What is happening? We have men in the studio, y'all. They're trying to give their 2 cents. He got us all off whack, but we get it.
Yeah.
Couples, it's not hard. If you want to touch your spouse, nothing should prohibit you from touching them. Your body belongs to them. Their body belongs to you. If you feel like touching somebody's lower back besides your own, I'm going to touch my spouse's.
Yes.
Like, just because I can. And my husband would tell me, he's saying, I'm not going to even say what he would say. He would say, Ty, you just like to touch. I just think you just like to touch things. I said, I do, actually. I said, the mere fact that I can is why I touch you all the time. Because I can. Here's a human that I get to touch whenever I want to, however I want to. And I enjoy the fun of that.
Right.
I ain't trying to touch myself.
But
that
you
does
know
nothing.
what? As that brings laughter, but that's how all couples should be.
Yeah.
Like, you really should get to a place with your spouse where it's just like, because I can
Because
touch you,
I can.
I will. Just because I can't do this with anybody else. So I'm going to just touch you. But there's something that's there that stops a lot of couples from doing that.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the times you do have those couples, or there's one in the relationship who's a little bit more standoffish. I transparent. I know that I'm not the most affectionate one. To my kids, very affectionate, loving on them. But with my husband, it's always like, bruh, can I get some space?
No, you didn't. No, you didn't. No, you don't. No. Hey, Anthony.
I'm being honest.
You can touch her. No, you don't. No, you cannot. He can touch whatever he wants. I don't care if he want to come over and touch your eyebrow. He can touch your eyebrow. I do that to my husband. I just pinch his eyebrows and he's like, why? What's happening right now? I'm like, I just want to touch your eyebrows. And I don't care. I don't care if it's annoying. I'm like, no, because I love you. I love every part of you, even this thick eyebrow that you have, because I don't really have any. So to see your thick eyebrows, I want to touch them. I told my husband, there'll be no part of your body I've never touched. No part. Like, I'm like, if you trade me in for a new model, all my fingerprints are all over your body. There will be no spot that I have not touched. And he has the right to do the same thing. I can't get annoyed if he just walked past me and grabbed something. I'm like, that's what you want. Okay, whatever. It's your playground.
Right.
It's your playground. It's your way of expressing your love for me. It's whatever affection you want. And we have to have that with our spouse. And if, as couples, we've gotten to a place where our spouse is repelled by our touch, something is wrong.
Something's wrong.
There's something that has happened to the intimacy. There's something where somebody's not vulnerable. Somebody is also resentful. If your spouse is repelled by you, that's a heart issue.
Yeah.
There's some issues that need to be discussed. Hey, what has happened where we are not freely able to be with each other?
Yeah.
Why are we going weeks without being with each other intimately?
Or even
Praise the Lord. I don't know where them people at. But months? Y'all sinning. That's an actual sin as a couple for you to go that long and you don't let God get in your heart and make it tender towards your spouse again. See, that's a prayer. That's a real prayer. Father God, make my heart tender towards my spouse, loving towards my spouse, affectionate towards my spouse. And ladies, we have to watch that because there's some stuff that happened early in your marriage that you don't forgive, that you don't let go. Oh, he didn't help me when those kids were little, and he just let me get tired and raggedy. And so even when they're grown now and I don't have to do all that, I'm still mad. You have to let that go. It is sinful to be that way.
And some of us actually came into our marriage with a lot of baggage and hurt. And we talked about this in earlier episodes about things that happened in the past that you never really resolved. And now you brought it into your marriage and into your marital bed. And those issues can keep you from resentment because it could be things that your spouse is doing that's causing triggers.
It's triggering.
And so because it's triggering those past events for you, now you want to shut the playground
and
down.
Create boundaries with your spouse.
And
you can't do this. You won't be able to do this because this is what somebody else did and this makes me trigger. No, you need to go see a therapist or a counselor.
And we have to be
work
real
it out.
about that, though.
Go see a therapist.
I mean, especially in this age now where mental health is a big issue and we're actually starting to tap into it. Like, it's always been there, but now it's like, oh, yes, I go to a therapist. People are being more open about it.
More open.
Yeah. But even in this age where it's more open, there's still this shame about having to go there, depending on the topic.
Go.
But for the sake of marriages, for the sake of saving your marriage, for the sake of you guys making it, go. Like, you need to go. If you have to go to a sex therapist, go to one. Find out what these issues are, because this is God created this for us to be able to come together
and enjoy it and love it.
We are meant to enjoy
It's a whole
each other.
hobby. Yeah. It's a whole hobby. Don't ask me what my hobbies are. I don't have that many. I love being around my spouse. I love being with my spouse. And that is the joy of marriage. Yeah. Like, y'all, it's a stress reliever. It's an anxiety reliever. It's a worry reliever. If you are not you're not able to have that released, some of y'all just backed up emotionally, mentally, and you need to be able to release that with your spouse. Both of y'all just, life is still good.
But that's how your spouse becomes your peace.
Yes.
If your spouse is your playground, think about it. When you were a child and your parents said, I'm going to take you to the playground, you got excited.
Yes.
Right? It's like, oh, I get to go to the playground. I get to play in the sandbox. And your spouse,
swinging from stuff, jumping around.
Your spouse should be that for you. It's just like, oh, I get to spend time with my spouse. Like, but how many of us really, other than
get
you,
excited?
Tara,
I get excited. I'm sorry.
Get excited about just wanting to spend time with our spouse. That's like, oh, that's my place of peace. I'm getting ready to go and have fun and relax.
Yes.
And that's where we need to be.
That's where we need to be.
That's what we want from this whole episode. Not just this episode, but from the series, yes, is for you to get to a place of peace in your relationship and understand the beauty of what marriage really is. That's why we definitely need a part 2.
Yes, because I'm telling you, I was about to go into something so serious, and we'll still be here another 25, 30 minutes.
Yes.
So we will see you all back for part 2 of intimacy in marriage on
Love Essentials.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you for joining us today. We hope you got something out of the episode.
If you want to connect with us, you can email us at loveessentialsshow@gmail.com.
Or check us out on Facebook at Love Essentials.
Or Instagram at The Love Essentials.
You can also check me out on Hannah's World Podcast on Spotify or iTunes.
And check me out at towerbody.com, where you can pick up my latest book, Marriage is a Beautiful Thing, But I Wish I Would Have Known. We appreciate you watching our show today. Take care.
Bye.